Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand all the latest cues from the D Street in terms of the sectoral moves, the benchmark indices and the stocks that are buzzing in trade as well, and also an update on the Adani Group, as now Supreme Court has ordered a committee to now probe into the crash in the stocks that was triggered by the Hindenburg report on January 25th as well. We'll get on to that, but first up, a quick check on how the markets are really trading at this point in time. 285 points down for the Sensex, 59,127. The Nifty is hovering 70 points lower at 17,384 as well. Talk about the other stocks at this hour and the sectors that are moving in trade. If you look at the other sectors, we'll look at the broader markets first. There's a mixed trend that you can actually spot. Slight increase in the small cap stocks. The mid caps are hovering lower in trade as well. The sectoral indices actually indicate a mixed trend again, with the metals slightly higher in trade and the realty pack really leading the pack with the 1.3% up move. But rest all of the sectors are actually down in the red. You can see the auto stocks that are down, the FMCG stocks, IT stocks are down by 1%. That's the ones that's dragging the indices overall as well. In terms of the market breadth, 31 stocks in the declining phase, whereas 19 stocks in the advancing phase right now. Adani Group stocks, third day in a row, are showing some uptick as well. Adani Enterprises about 3% up, and that's a rebound from the initial drop of 10% that we actually saw right when the session opened today. 1607 currently for the Adani Enterprises stock. Hero MotoCorp up by 2%. Coal India, BPCL, HCL Technologies up by 1.5% each as well. On the downside, you do have slight auto names like Maruti is down in trade by 2% odd. Axis Bank, TCS, Infosys and Cipla also down in trade. But the news of the moment right now is that the Supreme Court has ordered setting up of a 6-member probe panel to really look into the Adani Hindenburg case now, and also look at the regulatory framework. Let me just take it across to our reporter who's been tracking all the developments from this apex court. Anisha Mathur joins in. She's a senior special correspondent of India Today Group. Anisha, thanks for joining in. Tell us everything. What really happened at the Supreme Court today? What is the order really? What are the details of the order, especially when it comes to forming this 6-member committee?
Well, thank you, Sakshi. Now, the Supreme Court has set up a 6-member panel headed by former Supreme Court Judge AM Sapre. This panel consists of senior bankers and subject matter experts, including Mr. O.P. Bhatt, who's the former SBI Chief Justice J.P. Devdhar, who was heading the Securities Appellate Tribunal, Mr. K.V. Kamath, who's a senior banker, Mr. Nandan Nilekani, and senior lawyer, Mr. Somasekhar Sundareshan. Now, there are two lines of inquiry that the Supreme Court has called for. One, of course, being the inquiry that is being conducted by the SEBI itself, because the SEBI had informed the court that they are looking into the Hindenburg report and its effect. So, for the SEBI, the Supreme Court has set out certain directions regarding the requirement of the ongoing investigation, that then the SEBI must also include in its investigation whether there has been any violation of the rules under the securities contract regulation rules, whether there has been any failure to disclose transactions with related parties, etc., whether there was any manipulation of stock prices, which is all that is regarding the allegations raised in the Hindenburg report itself. Secondly, the SEBI has been asked to conclude its investigation within 2 months and file its report, which will be given to this expert committee as well. Now, what is also interesting is what the role of the expert committee is going to be.
That's right.
This expert committee will be providing an overall assessment of the securities market, the investor awareness systems and the regulatory mechanisms in the country. They will be looking into whether there's been any regulatory framework in failure in dealing with the what has happened, whether there is any need to create strengthening mechanisms for the statutory and regulatory framework, ensure compliances with the existing framework, etc. The chairperson of the SEBI and all agencies of the central government, including all agencies connected with financial regulations, fiscal agencies, law enforcement agencies, all of them have been asked to cooperate with this committee. So effectively,
Right.
this committee is going to have a large remit which will look into the entire investment securities market in the and its volatility. So it is going to be very interesting to see what is said in this report. However, this report is going to be placed before court in sealed cover. So we'll have to wait to see what the committee now says, what the SEBI now says, and what is actually placed before the Supreme Court. Back to you.
Right. So, what is the next course of action? When do we expect developments to take place going forward from here? Now that the committee has been formed, we do know who are the 6 people as well who will be entrusted with this responsibility of looking at the regulatory framework. Of course, 2 months time frame. You're talking about the SEBI report. Until then, what really happens? What do we expect?
Well, at this moment, what we are expecting is the SEBI and all other regulatory agencies of the government will now have to come before this committee. We should be expecting this report from this committee after this 2-month period of the SEBI report is over. So a lot of internal churning could be expected. We could be looking at the analysis really of the entire regulatory framework. What is the SEBI doing? What is the RBI been doing? What have the other fiscal agencies in the country been doing? Because remember, the people who've been put on this committee are very, very senior people. We've got the former Securities Appellate Tribunal chief. We've got Mr. Nilekani. We've got Mr. Kamath, who is the former head of the ICICI Bank and is also heading and also the New Development Bank. We've got Mr. Sundaresan, who's a very senior lawyer who works in the securities and financing sector. We've got Mr. Bhatt, who's the former head of the SBI. So these are people who've been very intrinsically a part of creating these rules as well as implementing these rules over the last several years. So it is now for them to look at all aspects to see what are the lapses and where the tightening is needed. Back to you.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Anisha, for that update. We will continue to track all these news developments with you through the course of the day as well. Time now to welcome our guest on the show as well. We are joined by Sudip Bandyopadhyay, who is the Group Chairman at Inditrade Capital. Welcome, sir, and thank you so much for speaking to us on Business Today TV. Of course, we will speak about the markets and other facets as well, but the news of the moment is the Adani Group, and finally we're seeing the Supreme Court stepping up the kind of initiatives that are needed, or steps that are needed, measures that are needed to really calm the nerves for investors who've been struggling with the kind of carnage we've been witnessing on Adani Group stocks since the last 1 month as well. So finally a committee has been set up. You heard our reporter as well talking about who are the committee members as well, what are they entrusted with as responsibility. Help me understand with your view, how do you see this panel being set up? What do we expect during the course of the sessions as well? Does it really mean that investors can hope for finally dust to get settled on the Adani Group case going forward from here now with this panel being set up?
Well, I think what we have to understand is that investors doesn't like uncertainty, and this is a great step towards achieving that certainty about certain facts which have been or rather certain allegations which have been thrown at the group. The setting up of this eminent committee, committee consisting of eminent people, is absolutely a welcome step from the market point of view. And I would presume that it should be welcomed by the Adani Group as well, because once certain allegations have been leveled, it is extremely difficult to prove one thing one way or the other. And it's always better for an independent committee to sit on judgment and come to some conclusions, which again will be submitted to the Supreme Court. So I would think that this is a very welcome development. Market should breathe a sigh of relief and should wait for the outcome of the investigation by the committee in conjunction with various authorities, including SEBI.
Right, absolutely, sir. So, Anisha also pointed out how this committee will be actually entrusted with a large responsibility of looking at the entire regulatory framework, which would also include report from the SEBI that they will be giving in 2 months. They will also be looking at the functioning of the RBI's role in such financial transactions as well, or the other related financial agencies which have had a part so far. How do you really sense the current setup in the environment? Does the case or the carnage that we've seen in the Adani Group stocks, the report that has highlighted so many manipulation of the stock prices, etc., which have worried the investors at large as well. Are there still a lot of things that need to be looked at to strengthen the system currently and to make things better for the investors, to safeguard the investors' interest in India?
But I think we have to see and what the investigation tells us. We have to definitely wait. As I said, since certain allegations have been leveled, it's always better for the independent committee to investigate and come to a conclusion. Of course, Adani Group is a large group with a significant share in India's infrastructure built in particular, apart from other sectors. And it's always welcome if they are not under any cloud. They can go on about their business. Investors can participate in companies belonging to the group, and the market can function in a seamless manner. Now, as far as shortcomings of multiple regulations, whether it's SEBI, RBI, or other authorities, we have to wait and see. As things stand today, nothing has been proven, nothing has been accepted. So we have to wait and watch.
Right. So currently looking at the bounce in the third day in the row, when we are seeing a bounce in the Adani Group stocks after continuous free fall that we had been witnessing, investors looking at opportunities currently, what would you really suggest in the Adani Group stocks? Would you say that till the time the committee finds out the reports, the finally we get some clarity, only then one should look at an opportunity right here? Or can one still look at these valuations currently, which have fallen sharply from those highs as well, and look at some of the stocks at least at this point?
Well, I have been always mentioning to investors since the time this crisis broke out that focus on the fundamentals of the companies and take a decision on investment or staying invested or acquiring fresh shares. Now, there are a few companies in the group which are, I think, very well managed, great in the core sectors, and have significant assets on ground. Let's take the case of Adani Port. I think they are one of the most efficient port operators in the world, with excellent facilities in the western coast of India and now even in the eastern part of the country. India's economic growth should propel this company to another level again. And I think there is absolutely no doubt, irrespective of the ownership, who owns it, this is a great asset. So investors taking the opportunity of the correction can definitely look at acquiring Adani Port for long term. Similarly, I would talk about Gujarat Ambuja Cement as well as ACC. Now, these are leading cement companies, and they have been such for decades, if not centuries, as in case of ACC. So, it is completely irrelevant who has the ownership or who are the majority shareholding in that company, and if there are any problems or otherwise with that group. Companies are great. They have a great business. They have a great market standing. So if the price has corrected significantly, look at acquiring for long term. Cement as a sector has a significant tailwind as well. The last company I want to talk about is Adani Wilmar. I think this is a leading branded edible oil producer in the country and has a potential to become a large FMCG player over the years. So again, taking opportunity of correction, investors can look at buying. Now, this has got nothing to do with the controversy, what will happen to the report, what will happen to the committee's report. Actually, doesn't matter. Whatever happens, Gujarat, Ambuja Cement, ACC, Adani Port, Adani Wilmar will continue as a company. So, my request to the investor is to focus on fundamentals and select stocks.
Okay, understood that as well. One more point I wanted to ask you. I'll go back to the committee that has been set up by the Supreme Court as well. The members that we've heard about, Nandan Nilekani, KV Kamath, all part of, these are, of course, celebrated, representatives of India Inc. in India. And, they have seen the entire industries go through lots of ups and downs, a lot of governance issues they've also tackled in their own fields as well. What kind of expertise do you expect them to really give when they're part of this committee? And do you believe that, this committee will be able to help not just, resolve some of the issues that may be existing thinking and give suggestions for that, but also for such groups as well, for India, which are the large groups of India conglomerates as well. They can actually help build a more, or suggest to build a more resilient kind of systems in the India Inc. group, where the larger interest of the people can also be served.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the credibility and the credentials of the committee is impeccable. You can't probably select a better set of individuals to do this half of the Supreme Court. So yes, I'm sure they will do a great job, and I'm sure they are in a position to also recommend remedial measures required, if any. I mean, that's what we are assuming, that remedial measures may be necessary. It may not be necessary also. So we can't conclude one way or the other at this stage. But yes, they have the right competence and right experience to do such, if
Right.
necessary.
Absolutely. Let me also read it out for all our viewers right there. Gautam Adani has put out a tweet post the Supreme Court judgment today, and he has said, as I quote, "The Adani Group welcomes order of the Honorable Supreme Court. It will bring finality in a time-bound manner. Truth will prevail," unquote. The tweet has said. So that also comes up as some kind of consensus that the Adani Group also has with the kind of direction that the Supreme Court is taking with respect to changes in the regulatory system, or looking at whether things are actually in the right fashion as well. And what is more important is that he has mentioned that, finality in a time-bound manner. So we could expect, things to get sorted out pretty soon as well. Overall in the markets as well, we've seen the markets heavily under, being overweight by the kind of news flows we've been seeing from the Adani Group over the last 1 month. How soon do you really see markets to be looking at other major fundamentals and macro data, and finally look at the course of earnings as well to chart their own trajectory as well, apart from the Adani Group?
Well, this is exactly what I mentioned, that Adani Group also should welcome and would welcome this, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what has happened. And I was alluding to this, that there will be a finality to this after the report is submitted and Supreme Court takes whatever call they need to take. And I think that is very good for the market. So I would tend to think that till the time this report is submitted, there will be still some views and speculation going on. Once this is done, I think we should be looking forward to a good period. As far as the market is concerned, I would say that the market to a great extent has moved ahead of the Adani controversy. We have seen the stocks, Adani Group stocks also recover some amount of ground from where it went down. The market, I think, is more focused on the macro factors and the interest rate, inflation and interest rate scenario, more than the Adani saga at this stage of taking cues.
Okay, understood. So where exactly are you finding newer opportunities emerge for investors in the larger market, apart from the Adani Group also?
Well, I think we've been positive and bullish on the construction infrastructure space for some time. And the government's budget, where they laid out a significantly large capex capital expenditure plan, kind of justifies that confidence in Indian infrastructure and construction companies. I think that's the space one needs to look at, considering the significant tailwind for this sector. By and large, large cap as well as mid cap infrastructure, construction, and capital companies in India have become efficient. They have cleaned up their balance sheet, and picking up these stocks at current levels should augur well for the investor in medium to long term.
All right, well understood that. Thank you so much, Mr. Bandyopadhyay, for being with us on the show and sharing with us all these insights on the developments that we've been seeing on the Adani Group, and also in the larger markets where exactly investors can actually look to make money in this current market scenario as well. Many thanks for joining us. Always a pleasure having you with us on Business Today. Let's move on to see how the markets are also trading at this point. The Sensex is down by 280 points, 59,129, 17,385 currently for the Nifty as well. A large part of the market is actually looking slightly on the weaker note, but the Adani Group stocks are actually buoyant in this current market scenario as well. Looking at the developments from the Supreme Court, we'll continue to track all the developments in this space, and for that you should stick with us on Business Today TV. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and also you can continue to engage with us on our social media platforms that's buzzing with news from the world of D Street as well on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and Instagram. Many thanks for tuning in. Until then.
Waltzing around here at the mobile